Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter high precision every day. Trying to figure out why this black shadow is above my head. So pardon me while I move around, try to get that to go away. All right, we got a great show for you today. Obviously, we were off yesterday due to me being in travel status. Today, we're going to talk about the big news of the morning, which is Tesla's inclusion in the S&P 500. What is going on with that thing? All right, is it the hat that's throwing it off? Well, maybe it is. All right, out with the hat. Well, no, I guess not. All right, so we're going to talk about S&P's inclusion in the S&P 500. That was Tesla. Also, the other big news that's out this morning is Amazon is going into the pharmacy business, right? Which kind of actually makes sense. But Amazon's already under the gun for some, going to break them up here eventually due to monopoly concerns, which obviously this is not going to help their case if they're going into another major business like that. So that's what I've got for you today. If you were catching us on replay, please subscribe, and you can get that every day to your notifications to be able to follow what we talked about. If you want to join us live, again, the value of that is going into the chat window and being able to ask questions, interact real time with other investors out there, and be able to learn. You can join us for $25 a month or get a free trial. Just reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com. With that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Here we are with our morning brief overview for today, which is Tuesday, November 17th. November halfway done already. 2021 in the near future, right? Can't get here fast enough. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and through everything. Do have one new member in the room this morning. Yep, there you are. Welcome. Go ahead and set up. Make sure that if you haven't used the webinar format, make sure you have your Q&A window open, as well as the chat window. And feel free, again, Q&A is really for questions for you guys to ask. We have two of them that we're going to cover today that I'm bringing up. But if you want to know about a stock or anything like that, then just go ahead and put, what's up with Walmart and in the Q&A, and I will talk to that at the end. Other than that, you see in the chat window there, make sure you have all panelists and attendees selected under the two. So if you are communicating, you're not just communicating to me, you're communicating to the whole group as well. And you see I don't have anybody long yet as far as our day trading stuff today, but we will be taking a look at a Walgreens Boots Alliance and CVS short. All right, standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation, so you have to do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear this morning. All right, our mission objectives: let's grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today, we're talking back to kind of that growth mode. The market went from once we had the last Sunday now, so what's that, 8-9 days ago, we had the Pfizer and BioNTech come out with the first vaccine news. So they said, okay, we've got a vaccine that's 90% effective. And then Sunday night, so 1 week later, we have Moderna that came out and with the news is 94% effective for the vaccine that they have. There's another company that escapes me right now that's coming out next weekend with a vaccine trial. Again, they have to have a certain amount of time before they can announce the results. So that's what's coming out in a week from now. So I expect positive things from there. So with the fact that there's going to be a vaccine at some point in time, we don't know the exact time frame, of course, but that means all the value stocks, airlines, cruise lines, hotels, movie theaters, all that stuff are on the trending up. So we did that pretty heavy there for a week. Now kind of tech is coming back, and when you look at the market today, the futures, which we'll get to in a second, tech is up, value is kind of back out of favor. So we'll see where things go. But as far as the new news for the S&P 500, obviously Tesla got put into the S&P 500 yesterday. The stock jumped 13%, I think was at the latest look. So yeah, pretty interesting. They got snubbed before. So that is a pretty big deal that they're actually be able to come back and get put into by the committee this time. For the questions today, I will talk a little bit at the end. It's a little bit boring, but really how the S&P 500 works and how you get in and how you get booted out of the S&P 500, because again, it's 500 individual stocks that are in there. And then lastly, since we have one new person, I will talk at the end about the concept of the R unit, because I know that's a little bit hard to follow real time because things are moving so fast during the day trading piece. But today we'll just talk about the concept of R while we're trading, and then I'll go back and kind of explain it a little bit. All right, as far as our flow today, we'll go long, short, open, short, long. What that means to you is we'll talk long-term investing first, because that's the most important. We will switch to day trading within 5 minutes of the open. We will apply the strategy that I have at the open, and we will either take a trade or not. I tend to offer three trades up to the crowd. Again, you can take these with real money, paper money, or just watch along and learn by how day traders execute. Again, we'll be done with that about 5 to 10 minutes after the market opens. We've either had taken a trade or not, and if we take a trade, I'll talk to you about how to either get out of the trade or what you should do the rest of the day for that trade. And then we'll switch back long, which is the real value at the end. So have any questions there? Choppy audio. Yeah, I think I got a connection unstable there, burner. So hopefully that has resolved on my end if I'm causing the issue here, but I don't know. We shall see. Everything looks good now. All right, let's contingencies are standard. If you have any tech support like you just brought up, either bring it up in the chat or reach out over email. All right, let's share out TD Ameritrade ThinkPipes platform. Again, remember, if you have a TD Ameritrade home account, you're on Thinkorswim. The Schwab TD Ameritrade merge says they're going to keep both the Thinkorswim and ThinkPipes platforms, and maybe even ditch their own Schwab Advisor Services platform. So we'll see how that works out. Okay, the chart you're looking at here in the ThinkPipes platform is the S&P 500. That's the 5-day chart. So let's go back out to the 1-year chart, which is what we'd like to take a look at. So, post the election, it's kind of been straight up, even though I guess we don't know the results. I think the results will stay as they are. We'll see, but obviously if the results change, the market's going back down because that would be more volatility. Everything's getting repriced for a Biden administration and what, taxes we'll be looking at from there. So choppy audio still. Let me just look at a setting real quick for me and see if I can fix that. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. Yeah, something goofy is going on here. Yep, okay, well, you're getting the check, check out of me. Unmute. Still choppy, huh? All right, well, is it unreadable choppy or just at times? Okay, it's probably my internet connection. I'll just, ooh, there it is. Okay, how about now? I switched over to internet sources, so maybe we're better now. Check, check, check. Not better. Sounds better. Got an okay now. All right. Thanks everybody for chiming in there, Major Silver, all you folks. All right. Okay. Let me know if it gets choppy again. Just put choppy. in there. All right, S&P 500, where are we going to go from here? We're bouncing off of new highs, which is crazy, right? That we're already, had such a crazy year, and we're already back to new highs. So do I expect that to continue? No, I do expect a little bit of a sell-off this week, just because we've run up so much so fast. When you look at the last 5 days, not really a straight line up, but certainly up to the close the close yesterday, as far as the S&P, and then pretty hard sell-off here into the futures on into this morning. So we'll see where things go. All right, here's our day trading charts. If you want to go ahead and take a look at some of the names, and now too many gamers on the bandwidth, probably, right? Should be gaming on a Tuesday morning. This is Walgreens Boots Alliance. It's selling off on the announcement of Amazon going into the pharmacy thing. So you see the move down there. Also CVS, same business, obviously, would be hit by that. And Tesla's up 13%. I don't plan on trading it, but we can certainly watch the chart from there. All right, let's go over and talk to the headlines. So get the CNBC pulled up here. Okay, here's where we are headline wise. Thanks for your patience on the audio. Seems to be better now. So almost 1% in the S&P and Dow. Again, tech is up. I expect that to continue. Going around the world, Europe pretty much down across the board. Mixed over in Asia, really pretty light movement. Nothing major there. Here's our numbers from yesterday. Nice big green day. Everything is awesome. The guy from the Lego movie dancing around. I don't expect that to be as awesome as the week unfolds. Not much movement in the bonds. Oil holding that $40 range that we expect. Mixed in precious metals. I don't expect a lot of movement in there as well. Okay, let's take a look at the headlines. Span this out just a touch. There we go, and see what we have for the headlines this morning. Walmart earnings were out, topping expectations. That is not unexpected. The new MacBook stuff came out last week with their own chips, and they ditched the Intel-based processor. So that's been hitting the Intel stock. All right, we have pharmacy. That only makes sense that Amazon would deliver you your drugs just like they do everything else, right? So really pretty much taking out Express Scripts. That's another name we can take a look at short as well, that has the military contract there. Yeah, a lot of people think this is the case. I have to be in this camp too, that everybody's a little bit bullish on the vaccine. They don't realize that maybe next, this could be 6 to 12 months. So we could get uglier before it gets better with the coronavirus stuff. And you're starting to see that in California. A lot of headlines with the California governor going to try to shut things down. New Mexico governor is not far behind. Okay. Kohl's missed earnings this morning, so expect that name to drop. There's your Walgreens dropping 11%. So we shall see. Ooh, there's an interesting note here as well at the bottom. Sorry, probably giving you issues with how fast I'm scrolling. But yeah, I've been pretty much U.S. centric since I've been in business for like 7 years. We are branching out into some international stuff from this year that you haven't seen before. All right, let's switch real quick to the S&P 500 and Tesla. So for the new person in the room, finviz.com is all you need to be able to look up a stock. So just put finviz.com and then the ticker. So here's where we are with Tesla, and Tesla is up at 460 already this morning. So pretty big move up this morning based off of the inclusion in the S&P 500, which again takes 4 positive quarters. So that's really all we need to talk about there. When you look at valuation of the stock, it should not be this high by any fundamental means, but however, people love the stock, so they're buying it hand over fist, and sometimes that's just the way it is. If you want a few shares, buy a few shares, and that's about all I can say about that. All right, as far as the top 5 names in the S&P 500, we're switching over to the Schwab Advisor Services Street Smart Edge platform. So I'm putting the names in here because it looks like they dumped from earlier, but when you look at the top 5 names, it'll be Tesla, excuse me, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, GE, ExxonMobil, and the SPY. When you really look at all these names, why is that not taking ExxonMobil? I was going to say it's not at 408, it's like 38. All right, and then Tesla, get that populated upper left there, and then Apple. Okay, so there you look at the big names, pretty much a strong trend up in the three tech names of Tesla, Apple, and Microsoft. GE has kind of made a comeback. Remember, everybody thought they were going to go out of business and we were buying the bonds hand over fist. So smart move on us there because they're not even close to going out of business. They're back. ExxonMobil, I've been kind of, you can't touch energy right now, and I still stand by that. So I would not hop back in here based off of vaccine news. And of course, if you just want the basic SPY, you get the whole index of 500 stocks if you simply just buy SPY as the ticker. And that's not a bad place to start if you're a starting investor. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the day trading names. We'll go over to briefing.com, see what's on the move here. Again, Walgreens Boots Alliance and CVS are both selling off. Here's our gapping up and down. It's going to be pretty much impossible for you to read. I am looking for a few names that are gapping down. So IQ missed earnings to 9.4%. API, I don't know what they do. They're 8% off. GAN, I think, is Gannett Network News Services. 5.6%. Anything moving in the bio world? Tree, that's a secondary offering. Their CVS is 8.8%. Pinduoduo, it's a Chinese name, minus 5.2%. Wouldn't dare short that. All right, let's take a look at some of these names to see if they qualify. We'll go under decliners right now, and looking at, there's your PDD short. Again, I'm not going to take a short. I'll put it up there for you. Take a look at the chart real quick. Okay, went up to 142. It's got plenty of volume, selling off down to 133. That's a secondary offering sell-off, so we don't touch those. Let's look at CVS real quick. Make sure we have the volume. 2 minutes to the open. Plenty of volume, 73 down to 68 and fading. I mean, that's your number one right there for your short today. WBA will be the number two. Plenty of volume, plenty of downside there. See what else we have on the short list. IQ. IQWI, Chinese Netflix. Plenty of volume, 27 down to 25.8. Buy streaming service. Okay, they bought Joy, which is a different company. So basically competition in the space from Baidu, which is the Chinese Google. So that's not going to be good news for IQWI. So I also like that short. So that'll be our third short today. So 3 shorts as you get set up. As a reminder, you cannot shorten a retirement account directly. There's advanced ways to do it, but we aren't even going to go into that. So, but make sure you are in a taxable account to be able to take these trades to the short. Switching the screen back over to ThinkPipes, and I need a second to set up my own screens, and then we will go over what we have. All right, there we go. Welcome to the On Time on Target play of the day. We have 4 screens in front of you. We have 30 seconds to the open. On the left, we have the SPY on a 1-minute chart. That's just to monitor how the market is doing overall. Then you have a left middle, and right-hand pane. These are all shorts. Left is WBA, Walgreens Boots Alliance, about a 40-cent stop. So we're looking about there. And then we have CVS is going to be about a 60-cent stop for the downside. And then there's your opening bell. And then you have IQ over to the right, 25-cent stop, maybe a 30-cent stop. So we will take a look at that. I like CVS the best. So we'll zoom in on all 3 of these as we watch them open. We're waiting for them to set up. So a lot of movement. We got to double check up here at the top. 5 to 10% is the range that we like. So this one's WBA is down 9.5. CVS down 7.7 and IQ is down about 9. This is a large move right here, almost 50 cents in this first minute here. That's tough to trade in IQ. Let's see what we have here. Well, about 50 cents there in CVS as well. Okay, get ready for CVS short. I will give you the entry here in a second. And again, looking for a, let's go with a 60-cent stop and see how the market's doing overall. Well, up a little bit. All right, 67.75. That's below the low of the day. If it hits that, we are going to continue. We're going to buy it and get into it short. But let's go 75-cent stop. So again, waiting for 67.75. Once it hits it, we'll be in. I'll make a little mark there just to keep that in my own mind. We may take it a little bit higher if we get a better opportunity. It's kind of showing some strength there, so keeping an eye on that. All right. Some strength out of IQ as well. And overall, the market is going up. Looking at a different screen real quick. Get ready. We're still in this if it hits the low of the day. Everything's in a red now, including NASDAQ just flipped red. So it's still looking good for the red. That's a pretty good setup here. We had the nice bounce up and move down. All right, again, still looking at CVS first, still sitting there in our window. It's not moving like I was hoping it would. Has plenty of room to the downside, though. All right, 67.90 is going to be our entry point with a 60-cent stop. 60-cent stop. So 67.90, going to take the trade short. And it's getting ready to hit. There it hit. So 67.90. Trade 60-cent stop. There, I've got mine in. We'll get back to that in a minute. So here's our entry point. And the stop, 60 cents. So 68.50 all the way up here is our stop. Okay, so that's nice and safe for the day. And then we'll mark the lower stops here in a second. We're taking it short, so I'm going to put your arrow right here so there's no confusion. And now we just let it cook. Okay, the market, if you look on that left-hand screen, the market's going a little bit higher here at the open. So I think that's some profit taking from the short. So we shall see what it does. So, all right, so we are in the CVS trade. Zoom in there a little bit. So again, in at 67.90. You could take it anywhere in here if you didn't get it initially, between 67 and 68. If it gets north of 68, I would just wait a second. And wait for it to drop back down before I would take it. But overall, very comfortable with the trade. And again, a nice big stop up here to not get stopped out. It would basically need to exceed not only the high of the day, but it would need to exceed the pre-market recent high within the 15 minutes of the open there. Okay, let's look at some other names. IQ we're not going to take, so we'll get rid of that. Remember, get your stop in. So if it hits 68.5, you're automatically out. And then we move on. We again risk 1 R each day, whatever your R unit is, and then you make 3 R. So once the trade starts working, we'll get into the concept of how far it needs to go for the 3 R point. All right, other things to take a look at on the downside. PDD, Pinduoduo, again, Chinese name, was down 5%. Had to move down. It would have been tough to enter that. You would have had to enter right there as it comes back down. So we shall see. Let's check back long, see what's going on with Tesla. Ooh, Tesla's selling off pretty hard from where it was earlier. So it was up again around 13 points. Now it's moving down to around 10 or so. You know, long term, I'm not thrilled with the Tesla name. I mean, I will agree that it's a game changer, but as far as, you know, making money for you, I would not be in Tesla as far as a car maker. Sort of thing. All right, our trade there in the middle looking ugly for us. If it hits 68.5, we're out and we're done trading for the day. So we shall see. Keep the faith and don't bail on it early. It's got to exceed the high of the days right here. So there's a lot of people. Well, they're just busted through it. So we are out of the trade for the day. It did not work. I don't turn around and take trades on the same stock. If you do, you want to wait for this to run up and kind of chill out. It just had a nice 4-minute move up against us. So you would turn around and short it. Basically, when it came back, if it messes up here and it comes back down below like 68.30, that's when you could take it back to the short side. So trade did not work today. We will get back on it tomorrow. We are finally getting unfortunately, getting some move down of the market, which will help the shorts. So we'll leave this up here and kind of see where it would have gone. I did initially talk about a 75-cent stop, which unfortunately would be hanging out right here. So that'll be a little bit painful if 65 actually does hold by a penny. All right. Let's look at some other names out there that have been on fire lately. PLTR, Palantir above 16. You can't buy it here. Let it come in. That's 60% in what, a week, 2 weeks. So been kind of crazy with this chart. So down at 10.5, what, 8 days ago, down at 10.50, up at 16.50. Can't really touch it here. I do think it'll end up over 20, but just let it do its thing for a minute before you hop back in. All right, LKNCY, Luck and Coffee is another name I love. Down 1% today, not too worried about that. I think it'll be above 5 soon. ASON is Asana. That's the other software name that basically IPO'd with Palantir, direct listed on the same day. I'm largely out of this name. Again, the direct listing was at 25 and it really has not recovered that. So I'm out until at least it proves itself to get back above 25. All right, let's take a look at some other long-term names out there. We have Tesla. I'm in the upper left here if you're following along. Tesla upper left at 11. Where'd it go? Bounced away there for a second. Have some psychedelic names. Palantir, there's up a couple percent. DraftKings is another name I like. So let's just DKNG. Can't spell DKNG. DraftKings. All right, so DraftKings, well, they were up a lot earlier. They're still, even though big red bar this morning, still up a couple percent. So traveling with the market there. Workhorse we like. Trade Desk we like. MongoDB is a software name, if you haven't heard of that. Amazon is up on the news, not as much maybe as I thought they would be. But again, 1% in Amazon is a significant move, right? Just because of the price point. So hung out around 3,100. I know that's a lot to pay for a share, but you should have at least one share if that's the size of your account. If you start getting up towards a 6-figure account, you definitely want to have at least 10 shares of Amazon, and then just don't sell them. Because Amazon's, even if they do get broken up, there's not a real big concern there, because you're going to get, just like when Ma Bell broke up, we've got 8 different stocks. Same thing, if they break up Amazon, and they're Zuckerberg and Dorsey from Twitter are both testifying today. They're really testifying about election stuff, but you're going to expect to see in a Democratic administration a lot of these big companies having to go explain themselves in front of Congress. Now, will Congress have the ability to affect some change there? I don't know. Should they? I personally don't think so, but that's what we'll see. All right, so plenty of names in the green there. Let's flip over to the red side. Lots of names in the red. Looking at the bottom now, psychedelic names. Home Depot down 3%. They had earnings last night. There's nothing wrong with the Home Depot stock, so you don't have to worry about selling it. It's run up so much that a little sell-off in Home Depot is not a concern to me at all. Let's go with the 1 year. So when you really back out and look at the 1 year, I mean, yeah, really almost a double from the March 23rd lows. Kind of been stabilizing here in the 270, 290 range. I'm not worried long-term about Home Depot. All right, Delta Airlines, energy selling off, real estate kind of selling off. Facebook, anytime they go into Congress, they sell off a little bit. And Intel, we talked about, with Apple leaving them, that's not good for Apple as far as, or excuse me, it's not good for Intel when the biggest phone maker out there dumps your chips in lieu of their own. All right, let's go back to the questions of the day and go ahead and close on out. I don't see any questions up the Q&A session, so please, if now's your chance, if you want to ask about a stock or any other question, throw it in there. I can talk to it. Otherwise, we'll go back to the questions of the day we proposed on the brief there. So how does the S&P 500 work? So I'm not going to bring up anything. I'll just talk to it as far as there's a committee that determines what 500 stocks go in. And we already talked about the 5 largest earlier, obviously names you've heard of, but getting included in the S&P is huge. So when, like Tesla today, so as soon as it goes into the index, they pick a date. I want to say it's December 21st. Don't hold me to that because I would have to look that up, but they pick a date in the future because it doesn't happen instantly. And that's the day we'll get included. Now, what I haven't heard is who's getting kicked out, because that's another good way to, that's another good day trade is when they announce that. Again, if the company, even though the company may not be doing bad, if it gets kicked out of the S&P 500, then what happens is all of the indices that are out there, they have to hold those stocks. So on the day, say it's December 21st, even though I don't know if that's sure, if that's when they make the change, then all these index funds that track the SPY have to buy Tesla, and they have to sell whatever's going out. So it's almost it's a tradable situation for sure. And there's a lot of people in on that trade. So careful, but yeah, I see your note burner. I'll check back to that and say, well, let's look at that real quick. Yeah, there it went. Yeah, I'll close by coming back to our trade. So it looks like the 75 cent would have worked, but we'll come back to that. So just basically thinking about these indices over time, and people always ask, like, how can the market go up forever? Well, that's how. It's because we kick out the bad companies, or the companies aren't as good as the others, basically, and put in the stronger companies. And they have to have four gap earnings, positive quarters in a row. You have to have a certain market cap to get in the S&P 500. So there's certain things to qualify. But anyhow, that's how all of that is managed. Well, in a survival of the fittest index like that, you're killing off the weak and you're adding in more the better companies out there. That's how it can continue to grow over time. Okay, before we check back on our trade, since it's whipping all over the place there, let's talk about the concept of R unit. And again, looking to Bright there for our new name. How much are you willing to risk? And I'm not trying to talk into day trading, because that's probably not right, but it's a big math problem, if you will. So when we go in today and we lost an R today, so no big deal. If that's $100, it's $100. You go in with a money management plan of, say you have $10,000 in an account, and then you use a risk unit of 100. Well, in our particular strategy, which again, I wrote for my PhD dissertation and did not publish because I don't want it out there, and I won't talk to specifics, but when I talk to generalities, we're looking for things that gap up or down, and then we take them in the direction of the gap. We're looking for 5 to 10%. That's the sweet spot. You pick what you're willing to risk. So your goal is to risk 1 R to make 3. That's what we're talking about right here. So if your R is 100, then you set your stops at -1 R. Today we shorted CVS, which means our stop is above the entry point. We entered at 67.90. We used a 60-cent stop of 68.5. And if it hits it, we're out. You can't outthink this stuff because it moves fast. So you risk the 1 R, and if you're out the R, it's no big deal. It's like missing a basket in basketball. It's no big deal. You simply recoup, go back on defense, get the ball back, and get right back at it next time, right? If you're hanging on too tight, then your R is too big. You need to, if you can't handle 1 R loss, then make your R $25, right? So that's how you manage yourself and manage your money. So if R is 100, though, this tells you how many shares to buy. So if you're using a 10-cent stop, then you'll buy 1,000 shares. So 1,000 shares, it moves 10 cents, that's $100. If you mess this math up, you can get hurt. So there's a calculator on the OTOTnow.com that put that in there. Predator put it in that calculator, which kind of helps you with that. Okay, you got 500 shares if you're using a 20-cent stop. So again, you double the stop, you have to have half the shares. If you use a $1 stop, then 100 shares. So obviously, if you're using 350 350 for an R, which again is down 350, or make 1,000 in a day. Those are numbers that I kind of tend to hang around. That then you have to do a little bit more complicated math. 100 is easy as far as the being able to do the math on the fly. Okay, once you take the trade, you have to immediately get the -1R stop in, because you can see these things that move in very quickly. So you get the loss stop in first, because obviously if it moves in the direction of your trade, then you're like, well, I don't care. I don't need to stop in that way because I'm making money. You can also, how I actually do it is I do not put a gain stop in. I put the loss stop in first at the -1R point, and then I simply sit here, because I sit here all day anyway, doing other things, but I keep it up on a side and I set an alert for when it gets to the 3R point, and then I'll make an assessment of whether I sell or actually continue to hold. So with that, I can get more than 3R out of a trade. So that really helps me. Sometimes I sell half, lock in half the gain, and then come back and get the rest. Slippage is basically like today when I said take the trade at 67.90 and everybody takes the trade. We all get different prices. So you do want to go back in and see what price you got, because that can mess up your math as well. All right, and then contingencies. Sometimes you can't short things. Again, to short, you have to actually borrow the shares and then come back and borrow the shares for the day and then go back in and turn them back in, if you will, to the custodian. That's who you're borrowing them from, is the custodian. Okay, so that's all I've got for our unit. So I do have a video on the website if you want to go back in. It's how to day trade and why you shouldn't. That goes into explains all this. Just remember, you have to be very disciplined to the math for this to work for you. All right, let's go back and take a look. I see a question in there from Bright. Thank you. We'll get to that in a second. Let's go back and show you the trade. And yeah, a little bit of a heartbreak. So 67.90 was our entry point. There's our down arrow here. It did hold that. It would have held a 75-cent stop by a penny. Really, thanks, chart. But we got busted out of it, and you can see it did go on to work. Went all the way down to 1R already, and then kind of bounced back up. So not retaking the trade, but that shows you how where you fine tune the stop. I tend to put a stop in above the high of the day, but not too much higher. Is where I'm looking at. And if it goes up and hits it, some people will wait for this to go through and then try to take it on the downside over here after it's reset the high of the day. But again, if you have a good short, it can just roll and go right at the beginning. So we shall see. But anyhow, that's how our trade's doing. Let's go to, and then I'll answer your question. NRG Energy. I get actually asked on this quite a bit. So let's take a look, just like I was talking earlier. Go to finviz.com, get your ticker in there, NRG, not bracket, just G. So energy's tough right now, right? Because of it's hard to make money. The oil price is down around 40. You have anything that isn't like super clean energy, and I know NRG is actually tracking towards some clean energy initiatives, but it's just tough. And the whole sector. So when I say, so there's like the XLE sector fund, and it's got oil and it's heavy oil. So that sells off. Well, when that fund owns a company like NRG, that drags that stock down with it. So sometimes it's like guilt by association. So say you've got 10 buddies of yours and one of them gets in trouble for drugs, even though that particular person is the one facing penalties and whatever, the other 9 of you can seem guilty by association, but you're really not, but you're kind of tainted, right? Well, that's where NRG is. It falls in it's not one of those net bad stocks, but it's lumped in with them. So that's kind of what's held it down. So when you look at life is good back in February, right? And then bam, global pandemic, it sells off basically a 50% drop here. So remember, the overall market dropped maybe 35%. So 50% here, kind of made it all the way back by midsummer, and then it's kind of flatlined into here. Now, well, you do see kind of a channel, so things do tend to pop out of a channel. So I do like buying when you have, I think they call it a pennant formation, where eventually you give this another month or so. If it's hanging out at 31, it's either going to move up or down pretty big. When you look at, so that's the chart itself. when you look at the numbers, generally down here on this chart, I look in that first column at the 3.7% basically. So you are getting a decent dividend. You will get a big dividend out of the energy companies. And the good news is they still have a dividend. A lot of these companies did not have one. The PE, they are profitable because you have a PE, again, price to earnings ratio. Forward PE, they're not going to make as much next quarter as they are this year. So when you look at, earnings per share, and I'm looking at the third column, if you can see the arrow there, earnings per share next year is $4.15. Next quarter, 55 cents per share. So that's a drop. So that's why it's not as good over time. So not necessarily trending in the right direction. I go over here in the 5, but it's cheap, certainly cheap. In relative to a price to earnings ratio, which is the number one way to value a stock. Short float is the number of people that are betting against it. I.e., like today, we put a small bet in against CVS. It did not work out, but these are people that are buying the stock, that are shorting the stock and holding it for several days, thinking it will go down. So here's its performance in the right-hand column. So yeah, a little bit of a pop. For the week, but basically down and in the red for the year. And you can kind of tell that at a glance from the chart. Other things you're looking for out there. These are upgrades and downgrades, this next list. So May 20th, the got a buy rating is the last time somebody's really come out and touched this stock. Then you get down into the news cycle, so you can read literally endlessly about NRG. I'll go down there and look for a specific article if I want. Then you get down at the bottom. You can get into different income statements. This is pretty advanced now as far as taking a look at it. You can also see what the insider trading, that's legal insider trading, meaning board members, they have to announce when they buy and sell their shares of stock. So that's what you have down at the bottom. Overall, I would say, what do I think about it? I would say meh, nothing that excites me in the energy space. If you were to buy something like this, I guess the question would be, how long would you want to hold it? Do you think it's the wave of the future? Well, if you do, you pick up a couple shares and then you hold it. And if it drops down to 25, then you buy more. I'm not against it, but nothing here excites me. And I would agree it's undervalued, so it's worth looking at. But what's the catalyst that would take it higher? That I don't know. I don't have an answer there for you. So I would stay clear of it. But yeah. If you hold it, have a plan, right? If it goes to 35, are you selling? If it goes to 40, are you selling? That's more traders mentality than necessarily long-term buy and hold. So, all right, what other questions we have from the crew? Otherwise, I will let you go for the day. Checking back on the markets. Did not mean to do that. Let's refresh. Okay. Overall, tech's 0.5% in the red. S&P and Dow Jones holding about 1% down. So I wouldn't read a whole lot into the red market. I do think after we have the big move up yesterday, we could end up selling off through the week. So I wouldn't put a whole lot into that, even if we move down, 3% this week. That's more of a motion of the ocean kind of stuff. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the feedback on the audio. I think we got it fixed, and I think I know what it was. So I appreciate being able to work through that real time. Glad to have the new person in the room. Thanks for asking a question, and we'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. You have a good one.